For the purposes of this chapter, the following words and phrases shall have the meanings indicated. Absorption surface, the total surface area of soil at the bottom of the drainfield. Chapter 2, Definitions. Aerobic treatment unit, a sewage treatment unit which introduces air into sewage to provide aerobic biochemical stabilization within a treatment receptacle. Alternative system, any approved on-site sewage treatment and disposal system used in lieu of, including modifications to, a standard subsurface system. American National Standards Institute, hereafter referred to as ANSI, an organization comprised of trade associations, technical societies, professional groups, consumer organizations, and individual companies with headquarters located at 1430 Broadway, New York, 10018. This organization acts as a clearinghouse and coordinating body for voluntary standards activities in the United States, and approves as American national standards those standards that have been developed according to its principles of openness, due process and consensus. Among its activities is accreditation of third-party certification programs. American Society for Testing Materials, hereafter referred to as ASTM. A technical society with headquarters located at 1916 Race Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19103, which develops and publishes national standards for the testing and quality assurance of construction materials. Approved, an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system constructed and installed in compliance with the standards and requirements of this chapter and which has received final installation approval. Approved installation does not imply that a system will perform satisfactorily for a specific period of time. Approved maintenance entity, any person or business entity which has been issued a written permit by the department to provide maintenance services associated with approved on-site aerobic treatment units. Aquifer, a geological formation, group of formations, or part of a formation that is capable of yielding potentially usable quantities of potable water from wells or springs. Available publicly owned or investor-owned sewerage system means that the publicly owned or investor-owned sewerage system is capable of being connected to the plumbing of an establishment or residence, is not under a Department of Environmental Protection moratorium, and has adequate permitted capacity to accept the sewage to be generated by the establishment or residence. Base flood, the flood having a 1% chance of being equaled or exceeded in any given year. Bedroom means a room that can be used for sleeping and that, a. for site-built dwellings, has a minimum of 70 square feet of conditioned space. b. for manufactured homes, is constructed according to the standards of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development and has a minimum of 50 square feet of floor area. c. is located along an exterior wall. d. has a closet and a door or an entrance where a door could be reasonably installed. e. has an emergency means of escape and rescue opening to the outside in accordance with the Florida Building Code. 2. A room may not be considered a bedroom if it is used to access another room except a bathroom or closet. 3. Bedroom does not include a hallway, bathroom, kitchen, living room, family room, dining room, den, breakfast nook, pantry, laundry room, sunroom, recreation room, media, video room, or exercise room. Building area, that enclosed habitable area of a dwelling unit, excluding the garage, carport, exterior storage shed, or open or screened patios or decks. Calculations of building area shall be made by measurements of the outside building dimensions. Building area of each additional story of the structure shall be added to determine the total building area. Commercial sewage waste, non-toxic, non-hazardous wastewater from commercial facilities. Commercial sewage waste. Examples of establishments included in this definition are commercial and institutional food operations, commercial laundry facilities with no more than 4 machines, and animal holding facilities. Department. The Department of Environmental Protection including authorized agents of the individual district offices. Domestic sewage waste means human body waste and wastewater, including bath and toilet waste, residential laundry waste, residential kitchen waste, and other similar waste from appurtenances at a residence or establishment.
Domestic sewage is further categorized as a. blackwater, that part of domestic sewage carried off by toilets, urinals, and kitchen drains. b. graywater, that part of domestic sewage that is not blackwater, including waste from the bath, lavatory, laundry, and sink, except kitchen sink waste. And c. domestic sewage waste ranges 1. Carbonaceous biochemical oxygen demand, CBOD5, maximum 300 mg per liter. 2. Total suspended solids, TSS, maximum 200 milligrams per liter. 3. pH, 6 to 8, or within 1 picohenry unit of the water supply pH, and 4. Nitrogen, total Kjeldahl nitrogen, TKN, maximum 100 milligrams per liter.
Dosing tank. A dosing tank is an add-on to the septic system that uses a pump mechanism to move the effluent to the drain field. This system is used primarily when the drain field sits above the tank, neutralizing gravity. Dosing tanks are required for some installations due to landscaping or other considerations preventing a pure gravity system. Dosing tanks are an additional expense, in addition to the septic tank. Still, they are often required if you're dealing with difficult soil conditions or a situation in which gravity will not move the wastewater into the drain field. Drainage ditch. A trench dug for the purpose of draining water from the land or for transporting water for use on the land. Swales are excluded from this definition. Drain field. A system of open jointed or perforated piping, approved alternative distribution units, or other treatment facilities designed to distribute effluent for filtration, oxidation and absorption by the soil within the zone of aeration. Dwelling unit. A residence for the housing of a single family, whether such residence is a detached structure or a unit of a multiple family building. Effective capacity. The liquid volume of a tank contained below the liquid level line. Effective soil depth. The depth of slightly or moderately limited soil material at an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system drainfield site. Establishment. A multifamily housing, apartment, condominium or townhouse complex, a mobile home park or recreational vehicle park, a non-residential commercial or institutional development or places of business or assembly. An establishment includes all buildings or structures, and the land appertaining thereto, and shall have an owners' association or other legal entity which is responsible for maintenance and operation of the development's sewage treatment and disposal facilities. Failure. A condition existing within an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system which prohibits the system from functioning in a sanitary manner and which results in the discharge of untreated or partially treated wastewater onto ground surface, into surface water, into groundwater, or which results in the failure of building plumbing to discharge properly. Filled system. A drainfield system where a portion, but not all, of the drainfield sidewalls are located at an elevation above the elevations of undisturbed native soil on the site. Flooding. A covering of soil surface by water from any source, such as streams overflowing their banks, runoff from adjacent or surrounding slopes, elevation of the groundwater table exceeding that of the soil surface, or combinations of these. Terms also associated with flooding and used elsewhere in this chapter are a. Frequent flooding, which occurs more than once every 2 years on the average. b. 10-year flood elevation. That flood elevation which has a 10 in 100 probability of being equaled or exceeded in any calendar year. Florida Keys means those islands of the state located within the boundaries of Monroe County. Food establishment sludge, oils, fats, greases, food scraps and other grease interceptor contents generated by a food operation or institutional food preparation facility using an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system. Impermeable mean a condition where the maximum hydraulic conductivity is less than or equal to 1 × 10 to 7 centimeters per second. Industrial, hazardous or toxic sewage waste. Wastewater not otherwise defined as domestic sewage waste or commercial sewage waste. Wastewater carried off by floor drains, utility sinks and equipment drains located in buildings in industrial or manufacturing areas. Estimated volumes of commercial sewage wastes exceeding 5,000 gallons per day. Wastewater from commercial laundry facilities with more than 4 self-service machines, and wastewater from car and truck washes are included in this. Innovative system means an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system that, in whole or in part, employs materials, devices, or techniques that are novel or unique and that have not been successfully field tested under sound scientific and engineering principles under climatic and soil conditions found in this state. Limitation ratings. Soil classification ratings which describe the relative suitability of soils to properly assimilate sewage effluent. The 3 rating categories for the purpose of this rule are a. Slightly limited, soil materials with favorable properties for the use of a drainfield. b. Moderately limited, soil materials that have properties moderately favorable for the use of a drainfield. c. Severely limited, soil materials which have one or more properties unsuitable for the use of a drainfield. Lot means a parcel or tract of land described by reference to recorded plats or by metes and bounds, or the least fractional part of subdivided lands having limited fixed boundaries or an assigned number, letter, or any other legal description by which it can be identified. Mean annual floodline means the elevation determined by calculating the arithmetic mean of the elevations of the highest yearly flood stage or discharge for the period of record, to include at least the most recent 10-year period. If at least 10 years of data is not available, the mean annual floodline shall be as determined based upon the data available and field verification conducted by a certified professional surveyor and mapper with experience in the determination of floodwater elevation lines or, at the option of the applicant, by department personnel. Field verification of the mean annual floodline shall be performed using a combination of those indicators listed in subparagraphs 1 to 7 that are present on the site and that reflect flooding that recurs on an annual basis. In those situations where any one or more of these indicators reflect a rare or aberrant event, such indicator or indicators shall not be utilized in determining the mean annual floodline. Mean annual floodline indicators. The indicators that may be considered are 1. Water stains on the ground surface, trees, and other fixed objects. 2. Hydric adventitious roots. 3. Drift lines. 4. Rafted debris. 5. Aquatic mosses and liverworts. 6. Moss collars. And 7. Lichen lines. Mean annual floodline indicators. Water stains. Discolorations or stains on the bark of woody vegetation, rocks, bridge supports, buildings, fences, or other fixed objects as a result of inundation. Primary eye indicator. May not apply to watermarks caused by extreme, infrequent, or very brief flooding events or flooding outside the growing season. Additional information may be needed to interpret this indicator in areas of altered hydrology if watermarks could be relict, reflecting the historic rather than current hydrologic regime. B. Hydric adventitious roots, or roots that develop from unusual locations, such as stems or leaves, rather than from the primary root system. They can help anchor a plant, support nutrient uptake, and enable vegetative reproduction, showcasing the plant's adaptability to various environments. C. Drift lines. Drift lines in rafted debris are vegetation, litter, and other natural or man-made material deposited in discrete lines or locations on the ground or against fixed objects or entangled above the ground within or on fixed objects in a form and manner which indicates that the material was waterborne.
D. Rafted debris. Drift lines and rafted debris are vegetation, litter, and other natural or man-made material deposited in discrete lines or locations on the ground or against fixed objects, or entangled above the ground within or on fixed objects in a form and manner which indicates that the material was waterborne. F. Moss collars. A proliferation of terrestrial mosses and liverworts that mark the upper limits of the mean annual floodline. G. Lichen lines. Lichens are a symbiotic association of a fungus and an alga. Typical lichen forms include crustus, foliose, and fruticus. Crustus lichens are flattened and oppressed like a film on the bark. Foliose lichens are flattened, thin, and lobed. Fruticus lichens are highly branched, forming a shrubby, bushy structure of flattened or cylindrical branches. The crustus and foliose type of lichen are the most commonly encountered on the bark of trees. Lichen are not tolerant of inundation. When water routinely stands around the trunks of trees, it abruptly limits the growth of lichens, producing a distinct line. These are instructive as part of the information used in determining the ordinary or seasonal high water line for some types of wetlands and other water bodies. Many shallow swamps have a seasonal high water which does not result in prolonged inundation of the tree trunks. These wetlands exhibit inundation as the pooling of water over the swamp floor, which is typically at a lower elevation than the base of the trees. See vegetated tussocks and hummocks.
Mosses and liverworts are in a group of plants collectively called bryophytes. They lack true roots and leaves and are generally found in shaded, moist environments. 35. Mean high water. The average height of tidal high waters over a 19-year period. 36. Mean high water line. The intersection of the tidal plane of mean high water with the shore. 37. Mound system. A drainfield constructed at a prescribed elevation in a prepared area of fill material. All drainfields where any part of the bottom surface of the drainfield is located at or above the elevation of undisturbed native soil in the drainfield area is a mound system. 38. National Sanitation Foundation International, hereafter referred to as NSF. A not-for-profit research, education and service organization located at 3475 Plymouth Road, Ann Arbor, Michigan, 48106, that develops standards and criteria for equipment, products and services that bear upon health. 39. Non-potable water well. A well intended exclusively for irrigation purposes, or for supplying water to a heat pump system, or a well for receiving discharge water from a heat pump system. 40. Horizon. The layer of organic matter on the surface of a mineral soil. This soil layer consists of decaying plant residues. 41. Obstructed land. Those areas on a lot or property used for such purposes as pools, concrete slabs, buildings, driveways, parking and similar areas which prohibit, hinder, or affect the installation, operation or maintenance of an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system. 42. On-site sewage treatment and disposal system means a system that contains a standard subsurface, filled, or mound drainfield system, an aerobic treatment unit, a greywater system tank, a laundry wastewater system tank, a septic tank, a grease interceptor, a pump tank, a solids or effluent pump, a waterless, incinerating, or organic waste composting toilet, or a sanitary pit privy that is installed or proposed to be installed beyond the building sewer on land of the owner or on other land to which the owner has the legal right to install a system. The term includes any item placed within, or intended to be used as a part of or in conjunction with, the system. This term does not include packaged sewage treatment facilities and other treatment works regulated under Chapter 403. 43. Potable water line means any water line that is connected to a potable water supply source, but the term does not include an irrigation line with any of the following types of backflow devices. 1. For irrigation systems into which chemicals are not injected, any atmospheric or pressure vacuum breaker or double check valve or any detector check assembly. 2. For irrigation systems into which chemicals such as fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides are injected, any reduced pressure backflow preventer. 44. Potable water well, a source of water used for drinking, culinary or domestic purposes. The following classifications of potable wells are used in this chapter. A. Private potable well, a well used only by one or two residences, one of which may be a rental residence. B. Public drinking water well, a well serving any drinking water system other than a private water system. C. Multifamily water well, a well that is used by 3 or 4 residences. 44. Potable water well. Public systems are classified in the following manner. 1. Community public water system, as defined in Section 403.852, FS. Such water system serves a year-round residential population of at least 25 people per day or has a minimum of 15 year-round residential service connections. 2. Non-community public water system, as defined in Section 403.852, FS. Such water system serves a transient population of at least 25 people per day at least 60 days per year or has a minimum of 15 non-residential service connections. 3. Non-transient non-community public water system, as defined in Section 403.852, FS. Such water system is not a community water system, but is a system that regularly serves at least 25 of the same people for over 6 months of the year. 4. Limited use public water system, a public water system not regulated by the Florida Safe Drinking Water Act or Chapter 62. 550, 62 to 555, or 62 to 560 of the FAC, and further specified as limited-use commercial public water system which provides piped potable water to one or more non-residential establishments and limited-use community public water system which provides piped potable water to 5 or more private residences or 2 or more rental residences. 45. Pump tank. A tank, or dedicated section of a multi-compartment tank used to locate a pump that is used to distribute effluent to a drain field, or other part of an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system. 46. Regulatory floodway means the channel of a river or other watercourse and adjacent land areas that must be reserved in order to discharge the base flood without cumulatively increasing the water surface elevation more than a designated height. 47. Repair, replacement of or modifications or additions to a failing system which are necessary to allow the system to function in accordance with its design or must be made to eliminate a public health or pollution hazard. Servicing or replacing with like-kind mechanical or electrical parts of an approved on-site sewage treatment and disposal system, or making minor structural corrections to a tank or distribution box, does not constitute a repair. The use of any treatment method that is intended to improve the functioning of any part of the system, or to prolong or sustain the length of time the system functions, shall be considered a repair. The use of any non-prohibited additive by the system owner, through the building plumbing, shall not be considered a repair. Removal of the contents of any tank or the installation of an approved outlet filter device, where the drain field is not disturbed, shall not be considered a repair. Replacement of a broken lid to any tank shall not be considered a repair. Splicing a drip emitter line where no emitter is eliminated shall not be considered a repair. 48. Septage means a mixture of sludge, fatty materials, human feces, and wastewater removed during the pumping of an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system. 49. Septic tank, a watertight receptacle constructed to promote separation of solid and liquid components of wastewater, to provide limited digestion of organic matter, to store solids, and to allow clarified liquid to discharge for further treatment and disposal into a drainfield. 50. Spoil material, any part of the existing drainfield, any adjacent soil material within 24 inches vertically and 12 inches horizontally of the drainfield, and any soil that has visible signs of effluent that has been removed as part of a repair, modification or abandonment of an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system. 51. Standard subsurface drainfield system, an on-site sewage treatment and disposal system drainfield consisting of a distribution box or header pipe and a drain trench or absorption bed with all portions of the drainfield sidewalls installed below the elevation of undisturbed native soil. 52. Subdivision 1. For a residential subdivision lot, a single-family residence, or an establishment, any of which has an estimated sewage flow of 1,000 gallons per day or less, a gravity sewer line to maintain gravity flow from the property's drain to the sewer line, or a low-pressure or vacuum sewage collection line in those areas approved for low-pressure or vacuum sewage collection, exists in a public easement or right-of-way that abuts the property line of the lot, residence, or establishment. 2. For an establishment with an estimated sewage flow exceeding 1,000 gallons per day, a sewer line, force main, or lift station exists in a public easement or right-of-way that abuts the property of the establishment or is within 50 feet of the property line of the establishment as accessed via existing rights-of-way or easements. 3. For proposed residential subdivisions with more than 50 lots, for proposed commercial subdivisions with more than 5 lots, and for areas zoned or used for an industrial or manufacturing purpose or its equivalent, a sewerage system exists within 1/4 mile of the development as measured and accessed via existing easements or rights-of-way.
53. Surface water bodies. Permanent non-tidal surface water body means a perennial stream, a perennial river, an intermittent stream, a perennial lake, a submerged marsh or swamp, a submerged wooded marsh or swamp, a spring, or a seep, as identified on the most recent quadrangle map, 7.5-minute series, topographic, produced by the United States Geological Survey, or products derived from that series. Permanent non-tidal surface water body shall also mean an artificial surface water body that does not have an impermeable bottom and side and that is designed to hold, or does hold, visible standing water for at least 180 days of the year. However, a non-tidal surface water body that is drained, either naturally or artificially, where the intent or the result is that such drainage be temporary, shall be considered a permanent non-tidal surface water body. A non-tidal surface water body that is drained of all visible surface water, where the lawful intent or the result of such drainage is that such drainage will be permanent, shall not be considered a permanent non-tidal surface water body. The boundary of a permanent non-tidal surface water body shall be the mean annual floodline. 53. Surface water bodies. Tidally influenced surface water body means a body of water that is subject to the ebb and flow of the tides and has as its boundary a mean high water line as defined by S. 177.27-15. 54. Swale. A man-made, vegetatively stabilized trench which contains contiguous areas of standing or flowing water for less than 72 hours following a rainfall event. A swale has a top width to depth ratio of the cross-section equal to or greater than 6:1, or side slopes equal to or greater than 3 feet horizontal to 1 foot vertical. 55. Temporary. A single period or an accumulation of periods not exceeding 120 total days in any 365-day period. 56. Toxic or hazardous chemical. Means a substance that poses a serious danger to human health or the environment. 57. Undisturbed native soil. Soil which has been deposited onto a site by the actions of nature and which has not been disturbed or altered by the activities of man.
58. Water table elevation. The upper surface of the groundwater or that level below which the soil or underlying rock material is wholly saturated with water. Water table elevation is measured from the soil surface downward to the upper level of saturated soil or up to the free water level. 59. Wettest season. That period of time each year in which the groundwater table elevation can normally be expected to be at its highest elevation.